left click on one of my ships, you'll notice that you can set me to hostile, friendly, neutral, or try and invite me to an alliance. Now, before we get
I have
fully,
anything selected, and I'm just trying to click on you.
you're gonna need to enter into RTS mode. So just put your mouse over your planet and click spacebar, and then once you're in there, then you should be able to click on my units and stuff. Okay. And as I said, the basic unit control works fairly similar to what you'd expect in an RTS. There is a couple of cool additions to it, though, primarily being the fact that we've tried to encompass spatial inertia in a strategy game in the sense where you can tell a unit to move to a destination, accelerate towards that destination, and once it reaches its cruising speed, it will actually begin to rotate facing the direction you want it to rotate towards. So you could have it like drift past the enemies and stuff like that.
You've got a lot of moons.
Yes, there is many moons.
Your planet. I don't know that mine has many. So are those just cosmetic, or those play some?
No, you're able to capture moons. That was actually one of the stretch goals on Kickstarter that we just reached. So we'll be adding in that functionality pretty soon. And the capturing of moons, they work pretty much the same as a planet. You can build everything on them, but they support much less population. And did you just try and run into my planet?
I did.
I haven't explained how the fortress shields work yet.
No,
you kind of learned the hard way.
I learned that the hard way.
So, one of the things, I mean, the biggest question that always comes up when playing, like, when you consider the concept of a persistent strategy game, is what happens when you go offline. So, we've incorporated a few important things in that. First of all, your home planet starts with a fortress shield, which means that it's safe from everyone as long as you're active within the game. If you're going inactive for a couple weeks on end, after X amount of time, we will shut down your fortress shield. But other than that, you can always sleep comfortably at night knowing that your two most important planets, because you can build a second fortress shield, are always protected from everything. Now, in addition to that, there's a offline AI system which takes over your units while you go offline, and it will prioritize and protect your planets, controlling units. And in addition to that, after you've been offline for about 30 minutes, any ships that you lose, the AI will replace at no cost to you. So what that kind of means, when you come back online, no matter what, you have your two most important planets, and you have all your fleets, so you can easily recapture anything that you've lost. Another element to that, the way capturing planets works is based on the population and of the planet and the military forces that you would drop onto the planet. So the longer you've owned a planet, the larger the population would be, in which case the larger percentage of population could act as militia to try and defend the planet in the case of invasion, which means the longer it would take an enemy player to capture it, meaning the more waves of your AI they would have to survive in the scenario where you are offline.
I've destroyed 2 of your ships, and I've destroyed none of mine, so I win.
So far.
It's going to last long. I did throw 7 against your planet shields, and it didn't work out so well for me.
No, it's not the best plan. Now, important thing to remember about the ship combat is that all ships have directional armor and have, and as you can see when you select a ship individually, they have fire arcs. Now, so it's kind of like rule of thumb, it's always good to try and get behind another player's ship, because also no ship can have rear-facing weapons mounted on it. You have some weapons, such as turreted weapons, which can have 360-degree arcs of fire, but you can never have like primary anti-capital ship weapons that are rear-facing. Now, another thing to mention right now, which is one of the more interesting features that we're in the middle of implementing in the game, is a fully customizable RTS unit AI. If you look on the buttons on the right of your screen, about 4 buttons down, you'll see something that says Tactics. And the icons looks like it should be for alliances. Don't mind that, it's an alpha.
Oh, yes.
All right. So under Tactics, how this works is that we actually give the player the ability to prioritize what they want their AI to be doing for all their different units. So the best example of this is, let's say you have an engineering ship. And you can design how the AI works for that engineering ship. So step one, your most important tactic, it's say repair a ship that's less than 15% health. Any allied ship around you that's less than 15% health. That's your top tier, highest priority tactic. Your second tactic is repair. No, actually, sorry. First tactic would be if you're getting shot at, run away. Second tactic is repair something that any allied ship that is below 20% health. Third tactic is repair any allied ship that's below 100% health. Now, what this equates to in the game is that now you have an engineering ship that you can have on your front lines. The moment it gets shot at, it'll retreat away from the enemy and behind your ships. It'll always prioritize repairing the ships that are closest to dying and getting them combat effective again, and then quickly moving on to the next one. And after the battle is over, it'll make sure that everything's repaired up to 100% health. So it's kind of an easy system to almost plan ahead the micromanagement for your units instead of needing to try and micromanage and control everything real time. And also, it does remove a bit of the factor of players getting frustrated when their AI doesn't do what they want it to do, because we're actually giving the player the ability to completely design how their own unit AI works.
Your unit AI right now is currently dying to mine.
Yeah, at the moment, as I said, that system isn't fully implemented yet, so there is not much.
Well, I'm actually like individually manipulating my ships to kill yours, so I don't feel too bad.
All right. So, someone asked a really good question. If plans to be easily recaptured, why bother to? Sorry. Yeah, if plans to be easily recaptured, why bother taking them in the first place? The key is the reason for this system is that it's very easy to recapture a planet that you have that's very well developed. So what it means that if you're at war with another player, you can't just run into the middle of their empire and capture their most well-developed planet, because the other players, as soon as they come back on, they'll be able to very easily recapture it. And your offline AI, if you are offline, or your normal forces, won't be able to reinforce the battle above that planet nearly as well as the other player can, due to the fact that your empire is a lot further away. It'll take you a lot longer to get your reinforcements there. So it promotes a playstyle where you have to push the front lines deeper and deeper into the enemy's empire, and it keeps the focus on that instead of just playing an endless game of whack-a-mole where ships just keep on popping up trying to capture all sorts of planets throughout your entire empire. It allows players to focus a bit more on front-line battles and pushing the no man's land deeper and deeper into enemy territory.
I can only imagine that resource control is going to play a large part into this game. But what? Because we really haven't seen that yet. How is that going to have an effect on the game?
Well, while you're here, if you go ahead and click on the second button down on the right, you'll see Empire Management. And in here, you'll see a list of all the planets you own. At the moment, you only own one planet. And also, you'll see funds, common, uncommon, and rare resources.
Mm-hmm.
These are the 4 major resource types you need to always keep in mind when producing anything. And you primarily will get common, uncommon, and rare resources, which will be renamed once we get further on in development. You get them from mines on your planets, and also eventually you'll be able to mine asteroids for them and mine destroyed ship carcasses and stuff like that. And another important thing to keep in mind is remember when you looked in your warehouse earlier on, you saw it was actually filled with a lot of different kinds of resources. So you need to keep in mind that these things do take up space. You can fill up your warehouses with just these resources, and you need to plan a bit of your use of the warehouse space efficiently. And yeah, so the main resources are generated more or less over time based on how many mines and stuff you have built on a planet. I said, as this is a development server, you start out with a hell of a lot of resources. So It hasn't been that big of a deal up until yet.
I was just trying to figure out what the drive for exploration and capturing more planets and what that was going to be. What the resource control in this RTS, how that was going to play out. So the way you're describing it to me sounds like you're going to get more resources by having more mines on my planets, and by having more mines, you're going to need more warehouses, and to have more warehouses, you're going to need more planets, and so that's why you're going to want to continue to
Pretty
grow
much.
out and not just stay with one planet and build up.
Yep, pretty much. Now, the other important thing to note is that how many buildings you can have on your planet is based on what the population of the planet is right now. If you look at the top of the planet management screen, you'll see a little number out of 100. Now, right now, as this is a development server, we gave you a maximum planet population, allowing you to build a total of 100 buildings. But typically, the planet growth is much more akin to a bell curve, where it starts speeding up. So you can get to be able to build about 15 buildings on a planet or 20 buildings on a planet pretty quickly. And after that, it starts tapering off. So you can't, you can, but it's not as efficient to focus trying to build your entire empire's population on one planet, because the growth rate will start tapering off. And at that point in time, it means you only are actually able to build about 15 buildings on that planet. Now, I mean, look, I'm not sure how many buildings you have built already, but you're probably, if you haven't already reached that cap, you're probably pretty close to it.
Yeah, I just built the 5.
Okay. So that's the thing. So that's one thing that becomes very important, is prioritizing exactly what you're able to build on your planets, how much you can fit, and managing the population across multiple different planets. Now, you don't need to capture many more planets. There are some playstyles you can play very efficiently with only having your 2 planets safely inside of your fortress shield, such as more of a raiding, piratey kind of style, or a more economical trading kind of style. And it's more just up to what is your playstyle. But typically, for most elements, if you want to be able to produce the large fleets and have massive battles and go and conquer segments of the universe, you really need to have a solid infrastructure built off of having multiple planets and a good set of planets, even up to owning an entire solar system.
All right, so I just parked 8 ships outside of another planet, Rocky 6 here, within my galaxy, our solar system, that no one else looks like no one's claimed this, because I didn't get instantly destroyed by a ship or shield. How do I go down there? Is there anything special that I have to do?
You can't. What you need to do is go to your ship designer again. You can click on the Empire Management thing on the right, sorry, second button down, and then double click on your home planet, click on the shipyard, and then on the ship designer, and then you need to build a colonization ship. So when you're in the ship designer, go ahead and tell me when you're in there.
I'm in the. Okay.
So once you're in ship designer, go ahead and
There's a specific hull that I need to do.
No, but there's benefits to each one. For example, I recommend the Destroyer Mark II hull because it can fit 2 utility slots.
Okay.
So go ahead and take the Destroyer Mark II hull, and then you're probably not going to put any weapons onto it. And I'll explain why in a moment. Okay. And then go ahead and stick some engines on it. Probably want to stick quite a few. It needs to be fairly fast. And then in utilities, you want to put 2 offensive troop drop pods.
Okay.
And then under bays, an offensive troop transport. And then go ahead and save the design.
Save. We'll name it Troop Trans. Okay. Go to the spaceport and build a couple, huh?
Yep. Now, another thing I need to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. So go into the shipyard and then build a couple of these, and then assuming you click the auto launch on your spaceport, as soon as they're done being constructed, they'll show up right on top of your planet.
I got a few more they're going to build first. How's your planet doing down there?
It's doing okay. Unfortunately, I'm not at my tactical best wits. It is currently like 5 a.m. and I've been working since 6 a.m. yesterday.
Give me trouble. Those are slowly making their way down and faster than